Hey, 5th grade. Today's lesson 9. The Coercive Intolerable Acts. We've already had our big lesson on this, and this is pretty much just a review. You're going to read this article. I'll read it for you, but there was something that I wanted to explain about this part right here, and that's why I made it for you. All right, so the Coercive Intolerable Acts. The English government was furious about the rebellious Boston Tea Party, and to punish the colonists, the Parliament passed a series of laws called the Coercive Acts. The colonists renamed these laws the Intolerable Acts because they were truly not tolerable. The first of the Coercive Acts included the closing of the Boston Harbor. Parliament declared that the harbor would remain closed until payment was made for the tea that the colonists had destroyed. British warships formed a blockade around the harbor so that no ships could pass through the dock. This was devastating to trade and the economy of Boston. The second of the Coercive Acts included a law stating that the Massachusetts legislature could no longer meet. The colony was to be run by the British military and was no longer able to make its own laws of decisions. The third of the Coercive Acts was the Quartering Act. This law forced colonists to house British soldiers in their homes. This was a hated law because British soldiers entered the colonists' homes uninvited, took over their bedrooms, and ate their families' food. Parliament passed the Coercive Acts because they wanted to tighten their control over the colonies. They hoped that these new laws would end the rebellion in the colonies. The laws actually had the opposite effect. Colonial protests increased and the colonists became more resentful of England. So, y'all, you know what's happening here? The whole Revolutionary War, and especially these intolerable acts. Do you see what's happening? It's like, okay, this side made this side mad, so let's see what we can do over here to make y'all mad and get back at y'all. Okay, well, you made me mad. You shouldn't have done that. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to pay you back. Look what you did. Or you made me mad. I'm going to get you back. Let's go back over here. That's all that's going on is a bunch of bickering and people trying to, they're being deceitful and spiteful and vindictive. And that's kind of what's going on in our country right now in politics. I feel like, you've got your liberals, Democrats, and then you've got your Republicans, and everybody's bickering and everybody wants to have their way. And when everybody can't have their way, then they'll say, okay, I'm going to pay you. Look what you did to me over here. I'm going to pay you back. And oh, look what they just did. Can you believe they did that? Let's pay them back. Isn't that what's going on? And does that get us anywhere? It doesn't, does it? Just like it didn't get these guys anywhere. The colonists, the British, the English government, nobody really got anywhere because they're too busy bickering. So what should they have done? They should have sat down and hashed out a plan. When you have disagreements, what do? You talk it out. You know that song, walk it out, walk it out. Well, they need to talk it out. Talk it out. I think that's what you have to do. And I think that our country would be in a much better place if we could everybody could swallow their pride and talk it out. And it all goes back to this word right here, empathy. Do you know what that means? Empathy is the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and to feel what they're feeling. That's what we lack in our country. That's what we lack. And that makes me so sad. Anyway, okay. Moving right along. Activity triple flat book. Since we're not in class, we can't do the triple flat book. So what you guys are going to do for me is, so it says, purpose. Students will create a triple flat book to make a visual representation of what they have learned about the Coercive Acts. All right, so you'll see materials that are copied, and of course you won't need scissors or glue unless you just want to do this on your own. If you want to, I do have some people in the past that have used scissors and glue and markers and crayons. If you want to do that, that's fine. If not, I'm going to show you another way that you can do it. But the last part right here is the only thing that's going to apply to you on this one then. Rewrite and answer the statement starters on each flap. Okay, so right here, here's a blank flap, here's a blank flap. But here, these are your statement starters and your labels, okay? So what you're going to do is, all right, statement starters, finish and write these statements on each flap of the book. So, the blockade of Boston Harbor. So right here it says, the Parliament declared that Boston Harbor would remain closed until blank. So go over here. The Parliament, what does that say? The Parliament declared that Boston Harbor would be remain closed until, and then you would just type that out here, okay? All right? And then you would write this one right beside it, a blah, 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 a blah, 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 blah. And then you would put your answer here. And then this is the starter, and you would put your answer there. And this is the starter for the third one. And then you would put your answer there. You would write it out, okay? Type it out, rather. Okay, and so, and the Coercive Act. Ooh, okay, all right? So you've got, all right, so the blockade of Boston Harbor, the closing of the Massachusetts legislature, and the Coercive Act. If you need to use this one, of course you can, all right? And here are some examples, some beautiful examples. Have a good day, guys. Hasta mañana. See you Friday.